Oh shit, here we go. Episode 2. Bishop and Juan got together again on Tuesday morning at 11:30 East Coast, live on vvor.xyz slash at TW Takes Podcast. Check out our socials to make sure you're following along and get it together. The show is going to continue to evolve, so just stay tuned on X at TW Takes Podcast at glitchin888, where we're going to post as much as we can to keep y'all updated about what we're doing together on this venture. Appreciate y'all downloading this episode and checking it out. Of course, as we're feeling this out, I didn't record. I forgot to press record on like the first 3 to 4 minutes, so you're catching Juan really jumping out in the middle of a sentence. He went to the fourth birthday party in Liverpool, New York for the Kaspa community, and it really just picks up with him talking about what he was experiencing with the VVOR guys and some other players up there. So I apologize. We're new to this operation together, so as things go, and I'm usually not the producer, you guys know that. So yeah, like as it's growing, and we'll just see where we get to. But another good conversation with me and Juan. We plan on getting together every Tuesday and just growing from there. So a lot of good tidbits in here. Talk a lot of life, sports, and Kaspa. So other than that, all I gotta say is hit the music.
Turn it up, you know I'ma bring the pain. It's Bishop, bitch, I stay a buck like you call Giannis' name. You don't like it? Well fuck it, you don't have to listen. I'm speaking facts, when I talk I know it's something different. I'm in the first state, crumbing like I'm first place. I talk that terrible shit, but you got worse takes. I got no anger for haters, that shit don't even matter. Cause when I finish the show, I'll grab some wine after. So
in Florida, has a really awesome operation going. Mentioned a couple opportunities with his business, how Kaspa messaging could be something that would benefit his business, and he runs a business all over the country. So yeah, man, a lot of great conversations. Made it worth the 12-hour cancellation of flights on Friday. I spent all day in the airport on Friday. Same thing coming back on Sunday. Watched a little bit of football. The disappointment. A lot of the losing teams, a lot of the teams that were favored won this weekend. So watch some of that. We went to Tully's, which is a chain restaurant they have up there in New York. So we checked that out, had their chicken fingers, dove into some dessert, and went to the airport. And we ended up the flight got canceled that night, and ended up leaving we left around noon, 1 o'clock yesterday. Got home around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah, man, long weekend, but we're here.
Wow.
How was yours, brother? Your week?
Yeah, not bad. Got it's a 4-day weekend for my son, so actually today's the last day that he's off of school because of Veterans Day. Shouts to all the veterans out there. Yeah, we're chilling, man. So since I'm on my particular path and journey, everything is about getting the business to the next level. So Saturday was clearing out a rental property, the last of kind of the stuff that we had left in there when we moved out of there 14 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it was. And we also had to check on some work that was being done. There was one of the rooms got basically redone. It was an attached garage that they turned into like a den or whatever. Well, we had it transform into a bedroom, so we had to inspect that work before we cut the check for it while doing some clear out stuff. So all that counts towards, kind of just being this new entrepreneur, if you will. Because we've never treated our rental properties like a business. We treated them like a side hustle, which is fine, but treating it like a business, we need to operate a little bit more legit, a little bit more structured, if you will. So that was Saturday. Sunday, my wife's a Cowboys fan. I'm a Packers fan. Cowboys were on a bye. Packers played Monday night. So Sunday was just like, you know what, we'll throw on stuff in the background and we'll just we'll clown around all day. So between doing laundry and painting the front door, and I went fishing with my kid at this pond down the street. we just kind of bounced around all day. So just domesticated life, some good shit. And then yesterday, watching my kid until the wife came home. And he doesn't really need babysit. I mean, he's 11 years old, but
Yeah.
like right now, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go do a podcast, watch a movie for 2 hours. He's like, okay. He wanted to watch it at 8:00 this morning, and that's too early for screens in this household. So, perfect timing on that. But
That's good. That's good that you prevent screen time.
dude,
I need to do a better
it
job
turns
with
him to
that, man.
zombies, bro. When he was 8, we gave him YouTube for the first time, and he just became a zombie. Yeah, it was crazy. So yeah, we limit that big time. But yeah,
Well, it's easy for us parents to do that, man. It was just like you, I have one, and it was. Yeah, we're I wouldn't say it's a battle because my son's a good kid, but you're right. Just limiting that screen time we got him in music now and all that. Super critical, important because it's really easy to get lost in that. I mean, I'm guilty of it. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, put it down as I'm scrolling, right? Like I'm sitting there like this. No, you don't. No, you can't look that up. No, you can't. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Do as you're told.
Yeah.
Do as you're told, not as you see. However that saying goes.
Yeah. No, do as you're told, not as I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up on that one too. But no, so and then Packers played last night, and we'll get into sports in a little bit here. So that was just kind of my 3 days. Today's day 4, a day I've been looking forward to for a week now. Episode 1 was really cool, man. Look, for those who are familiar with the Terrible Wrestling Takes podcast, I make these tiny things called promises that aren't really promises. It's like I say stuff on air as if I'm going to do it, and that's usually the kiss of death, and I don't do it, right? But the truth of the matter is, episode 1 that we had, I loved it, came out great, but it took a lot to get there. There was 2 video recorded files that I had to turn into audio. The first one was corrupted. I got it recovered, and it sounded like Mickey Mouse. It was hysterical. And then I was able to audio adjust it. So if you listen to the audio feed, where there's that technical difficulty part, that front half is a different audio file or a different video file that I had to transcribe into audio. And I thought I did a good job making it sound like it was one complete production. So
you did.
Yeah,
no, you did. I wouldn't have noticed it.
But I had
my mic was off. My mic was off though, so
yeah, a little bit glitchy.
I sounded scrambled.
Yeah, you
a little bit glitchy.
Yeah,
the glitch a little bit glitchy.
You live up to the name. You glitch as it need to. But yeah, so I had mentioned that we would take some of the video and make clips for our YouTubes individually, and maybe throw some stuff on Twitter. And I just didn't feel comfortable with the files we had to invest the time to give out that way. Like, we should invest the time on our end to figure out, okay, how do we want this to look and do that. But when it came down to it, I think what we did last week combined with the audio version was an okay step for right now. Let's keep building the VVOR of it all, and we'll as the recording treats us well, we will treat it well. But yeah, it took me probably 2 days of playing around with it to figure out how to get the audio right where it needed to be, and by the time I posted it, I was happy with the results. So we're hoping for a smoother episode 2.
Absolutely, we're here, ready to do this.
Yeah, I did forget to press record for about the first 4 minutes, so.
All right, we're working out all the kinks, man. This is, it's not gonna be perfect.
But nah, man, VVOR is so cool. I think having a Twitch alternative on the Kaspa chain is just a beautiful thing. And with Kaspa's 4th birthday that just happened, and seeing the excitement across the globe about it. In London, there was a party. Up in New York, there was a party. I'm sure there was some elsewhere. There was almost a party on the grave of Binance over the weekend. What were some of your takeaways from the Kaspa scuttlebutt, if you will, over the last week?
With you're talking about the Binance post or
with
the post
Jonathan specifically going at Binance. But even look, you guys did a great Spaces on Wednesday. Theory Buffalo did a space. It was either last night, I think it was Sunday night. I think
it was Sunday. Yeah, I didn't catch it.
There's a lot of
chatter about Casper right now. What are your thoughts right now on this past week of how things have kind of been going?
Yeah, I always think things are happening and flowing the way they're supposed to, and and one of the things that we talked about on last week's podcast, and we talk on every spaces, every conversation we have, is the the people within Kaspa. I feel we're all truth seekers. We're not necessarily attached to these outcomes or narratives. We want to know the truth. We want to know exactly what's out there and what's happening. And I think that was reflected in specifically Jonathan's posts. I got fired up reading that. I talked about this on the space on Wednesday, where cypherpunk, I wasn't necessarily familiar with that term or what that entailed, but what it encompasses is the whole reason I hold Kaspa, and I find it so fascinating in terms of what this ecosystem is creating, and what I've experienced over the past 3-4 months being on X and getting to know people like yourself and running these spaces. And that's, for me, this is a whole new level of sovereignty. You mentioned the mental sovereignty that you found yourself having after our first conversation, and how that impacted me hearing, wow, this is how I've been living for 20 plus years, just being able to operate in this headspace. And I've never really, you mentioned that term, mental sovereignty, and it really wasn't something that came to me or I even thought about. But that really does describe it. It's like, okay, no, I actually, there's things we can't control, right? But the things that I can control, I realize, okay, I have these are my thoughts, and I do have a choice in how I can look at this, right? There is a choice, where a lot of people look for the validation and they look for answers outside of themselves. So that's really what I think the sovereignty brings in. And going back to Jonathan's post, there were a couple things that he mentioned in there where, he called out, hey, Binance, because Binance invited him, for our listeners who aren't familiar with what he did. He was voted one of the top, I want to say, innovators, right? Am I right about that, Bishop?
Yeah.
I believe it was,
top.
innovators in the space.
Top.
He was voted the top, right?
Yeah,
and he was invited along with so he took number one. So he was invited along with 5 or 6 other people that were there, but he took the top spot, and he declined the invitation to Dubai, and he wrote in there the reason for that, and then he called out Binance for listing the Pepe coin 2-3 weeks after, yet looking and seeing what Kaspa has done and how it's a utility coin. And then, there were a couple things out there with them asking specifically for a listing fee. And it turned out to be 3% of the supply, equaled out to about $41 million. Yet they claim they don't require a listing fee. And I think it really brought to the forefront what these exchanges really are. What are they? I mean, they're gambling casinos, right? Most of these coins, 99.9% of the coins they have no real utility. There isn't a real use case for them, right? There are these VC-backed coins where there's a lot of hype. It's about, this is going to go from a penny to $10 or $100. And we get a lot of that. So a lot of that energy is out there. And I think this past week, the reason Cass was being brought up and spoken about is because, Jonathan showed his true colors. It's like, it's not about me winning any of these awards. The Kaspa fanatics or us Caspians who are a little crazy and go nuts on these posts and have people think that we're bots are the reason he won that. It wasn't him promoting himself. There were other creators, other people, that were up for the running that kept promoting themselves, like talking about, and there's even a talk that they bought votes and whatnot. And it doesn't matter, right? I just saw that post as a call to what's actually happening. It's like, hey, let's call crypto for what it is. And there's these different lanes, and let me tell you, what is Kaspa about? Kaspa was about what this was supposed to be about. And that was you having your sovereignty, being able to being able to vibe in a completely different way, being able to save your energy, preserve your energy in a completely different way. And that's interacting peer to peer. The base layer of what Caspa can do is such a beautiful thing. We're still exploring. It's there's so much that's being built on it. This Vboard platform is powered by Caspa, and yeah, there's just so much there, man. I just think it's all coming to fruition, and naturally, organically, people are starting to talk about it. So it's pretty cool to see.
For sure. I mean, like I said, when I was first exposed to Kaspa, it was through someone who introduced me to crypto companies, right? The Deeper Network and the Helium Network. So I was like, what is this Kaspa thing? It's because I don't understand cryptocurrency. And I say don't as in currently because there's so much to explore in crypto to truly understand what's going on. But I think what I may have said this before about Kaspa or not. When I interview for a job, my dad gave me this rule, and it's go until you say no, right? If everything lines up, then you say yes. If something says no, then you pull the plug and you don't go. With Kaspa, I haven't heard the no yet, right? You plug it in, it builds the DAG. You can build on the DAG. I'm not a developer, but I'm watching it, right? We're on it right now. Excuse me. Vvor's doing it. Cassia Messaging doing it. Oh, they decided to put that stuff together, and now Vvor solves a problem with Cassia Messaging so the chat can stay with your video all the time. And that's all benefiting layer one. This is all built on Kaspa. So you're seeing the ability to use the actual technology. And I've said this, excuse me, I've said this so many times about crypto. If you need an exchange to be found, then all you're doing is adding a second layer, right? Like if you buy your Bitcoin or your Kaspa on Kraken, well, Kraken owns your stuff. You have to cold storage it, right? But if you as a community, or I said this on a space I think Neo was hosting, if you are begging Binance to pick up Kaspa, you're looking at Kaspa wrong. Because Kaspa doesn't need Binance for Kaspa to become better at what Kaspa does, right? But yes, it'd be great if Binance had it so more people can be exposed to the token. But it's not going to affect how good Kaspa is. It's just going to impact the security because more people will be holding it, which is a good thing. But it's not what Kaspa needs. Kaspa needs actual adoption, right? And utility. That's why I don't ever want to do an episode with you that's not on Vvor because we're not adding to the value of what Kaspa brings, right? Because that should be how we operate. Like we talked about on last episode, how you're trying to find your real world utility with Kaspa, with the mani pedis and the beard and the masseuse, right? And if you can go down to the shop and pay for your food with Kaspa, then you would do that as well. If you can pay for your rent, if you can get paid in, and you create that utility, that cyclical utility, Binance doesn't help with that. And if it does, then it would be through a lightning style layer 2 anyway, kind of like what Tangent's doing, right? Tangent has activated or is going to activate Tangent Pay, where you take your cold storage card and you're able to pay. That's great. And they're going to do it with fees that are suitable to crypto, not to standard Visa fees, right? Because Visa charges 3%, and then you see your merchants go, we're going to charge you 4%, so they can make an extra 1% on the purchase. Tangent Pay is willing to do that at crypto fees. Fantastic. It still only benefits the bridge that they built, not necessarily the chain you're using, right? Maybe on the transfer it will, but not on the purchase. So it's getting there. It's getting there, but pushing to be on Binance. I mean, look, I thought Jonathan, he could have played it one of two ways. He could have went to Binance and said what he said in the post on stage, right? And he could have said it for the world to hear. I don't blame him for handling it how he wants to. That's what he's done the entire time. He's rolled out Kaspa and allowed this project to grow the way he wanted to. And if he's not going to get the respect first, by all means, don't go chase it. But I think it probably would have been a bigger moment. And I'm sure 50% of that Binance audience that's at whatever festival that thing was, I'm pretty sure half of them hold Kaspa anyway, right?
Right.
So I mean, at the end of the day, I respect what he did because you don't have to push for more custodial options. You don't have to push for crypto.com to get. When is crypto.com getting Kaspa? I don't fucking care. I don't. I get it on Kraken. I move it to my Tangem. I put it in, my Casware wallet so I can go live on Vivor. That's it. I have a Caspia wallet or Caspium wallet on my phone, and actually, I'll talk to you offline. But you were talking in this or on Buffalo Spaces, they were talking about having wallets for their kids. I want to pay my son in Kaspa to do chores, and I think that would be a great way to bring some on-chain transactions and also teach him about Kaspa. So when it comes to onboarding him safely and all that stuff, I want to go through that. But I want to chat with you about that offline anyway. But no, man, like I think it's great that Jonathan's aware that Kaspa has an ecosystem that doesn't need to bow down to those above, right? And I appreciate that, and it makes me feel like the adjustments that he would make going forward in what Kaspa's roadmap looks like is going to be for the sake of Kaspa, not for the sake of market adoption, which is great. Have the market come to you. Don't push to the market.
Right. Yeah. So Jonathan is known for being an avid. He even changed his profile picture in the background. I don't know if you noticed this, and I saw on there that it had to do with chess. So Jonathan's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. This is a long game. I mean, he is the most cited researcher in crypto, and still, I mean, take a look at the impact that post had. It had, I believe it's at somewhere around 2 million plus views, right? And to me, it speaks to a lot of the propaganda that you see out there. And to me, what propaganda is when you're trying to interact with somebody and find out, hey, why do you hold Kaspa? And this is one of the things that I feel when I have a conversation with somebody within Kaspa is I can have a conversation and get the reason why you see Kaspa the way you see it. And they're your words, they're your feelings. Where when you speak about anything else, there's these narratives. There is no second best. Everything is a shit coin. They'll go to these phrases and these sayings that, oh, those weren't your words. You heard that and you're just repeating it. So you're not going a little bit deeper as to what this thing is. So, Yana, even though Kaspa turned 4 in terms of when the coin was launched, this is 10 plus years of research that has gone into really solving for why crypto arrived the way it did, why Bitcoin was launched, why it caught on so early. So, most people that are in it, and especially if you're new to it, it's, hey, what is this? And why do we even need this? And when you start digging in, it's actually not that difficult to find the projects out there that are doing this not for the reasons of, oh, we just want, I share this a ton on the spaces is I get why people come to crypto and believe in the industry for such a long time. And I mean, in the other system, it's tough to make money, man. You got to have thick skin. You got to play a certain game. I happen to play that game and understand that game and get to levels in it. You talked about me being at a level 10. Bro, you don't know the sacrifice that it takes to actually build over there. And I mean, I operated most of my adult life not really thinking, just being in action and not really feeling. And again, just being in action and just doing. And that you have to have a certain type of killer mindset instinct to get to certain levels, man. So it's like, I wish people could experience having $1 million. You think it's cool, and it is to a certain extent, but you don't know what comes with that. And and here's what I realized when I got to these levels of economic, we'll call it economic freedom, and being able to make all this money, I was like, okay, now what? And then that's where you realize, okay, shit, it wasn't about having that. I started to go back and be like, oh man, so the process of this, and that's why I did a reset about 7 years ago, and just like, okay, I don't give a shit about money,
Right.
and how I make it. Let me go out there and operate from presence. Let me operate from actually trying to help people and solve problems. Let me be right here. And then that's what had the money even come in droves, you know? So I get for myself, and it's a big part of the reason why I want to be on these platforms and I want to share my story, because I know my story, and I've said this several times, my story isn't mine to keep to myself anymore. You know, I see people as a mirror to me. I see where you're at. I've been there. I've had nothing, and then I've been at what some would say is the pinnacle, the top. Wasn't the richest person, but man, I hit some goals that some people will never get to. And what I learned is, it's not really about these getting to these specific goals. It's about the journey. It's about, you know, we talked about last week on the podcast. What's the purpose of life? The purpose of life is to be alive.
Yeah.
You know.
No.
So if you can, and it's really difficult to have that long-term perspective when you are trying to figure out how to make it. You know, you shared with how your journey's been. It's like, okay, you haven't worked for 6 months and need to make the money, but then you sat back and realized, okay, well, you know what, we're actually taking care of. Oh, we have these assets, we have these houses. I actually haven't treated it as a business. It's just been a side hustle. We've been in the energy of, and that ties into most of what we're going to see as the narrative out there when people are talking about these companies. So you see it with these exchanges, and I'm right there with you, Bishop. We don't need. Kaspa doesn't need us. It's imposing a new set of discipline on the free market. So it's going to do what it does. And we have the example with Bitcoin in terms of what the protocol is at the foundational level to see what a protocol launched this way is. And if you go back to the history of Kaspa and how all the research that was done, they took everything that Bitcoin was initially supposed to be and kept building upon that. And what I see as the big difference between Kaspa and Bitcoin, there's a lot of differences, right? But in the similarities is, you know, the culture at Kaspa is, okay, what are the ideas? Let's continue to build. Let's continue to evolve. Where the culture for Bitcoin is like, this is what it is. This is all you ever need. Everything else is shit. Right? So that doesn't vibe with me. It doesn't align with how I've lived my life and I've been able to evolve. It's like, if I thought the way Bitcoin people think, like, oh, this is it. This is all there ever is. That's all there ever be. That makes no sense. You know, we're constantly evolving. We're constantly growing. We're not the same people we were yesterday as we are. So we're not the same people 10 minutes ago that we are right now. So there's a lot of parallels in life that I can see the technology and where it's going, how it's building, what it's doing for people, how I'm living, how I'm vibing with it. And there's just so much potential for it. So yeah, man, I think that the Kaspa wallet is the easiest thing to use. There'll be more that come along, but yeah, I'm excited to see what, you know, how people implement this. And again, just get it to people, you know, start with your son, start with the family. And it's only a matter of time with adoption is how I see it.
And, no, for sure. And anyone into this conversation, like, what is this Kaspa thing, and how do I play around with it? Check out Kaspa Silver on YouTube. He has so many different intellectual discussions where it doesn't make you sound, or you're not overwhelmed by how he explains it either. He pretty much can tell you everything you need to know about Kaspa, and so if you're interested in messing around with, you know, just the information or any of the technology, check out Kaspa Silver on YouTube. Free shout out for the guy. I mean, he's
great.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's going to be fun to just see how it grows. You know, I've said it a million times too. You know, no disrespect. Anyone who's all in on one crypto just has to make the right decision, because since we were children, specifically us in our age bracket, the 40-year-olds, since we were children, we literally watched technology get better and better and better every year. Now technology gets better and better and better every day. And one of the problems I have with the Bitcoin people who say everything else is a shitcoin, they are denying the fact that tech moves so fucking fast. Bitcoin's been around for 17 years. The truth is, there better be something better than it, right? Like, if technology peaked 17 years ago in cryptocurrency, we have a problem. And if Kaspa is the peak of technology in cryptocurrency, that's great, because 10 years from now, something way better is going to be around. But if the blueprint exists for Kaspa and it's called Bitcoin, then there should be value in having both. If the blueprint of the future thing is built off the two of those, then there should be value in all three. And that's where this world is so fucking big and everybody wants to wave the flag like I have the best. It's like, nah, man, sit back, relax, get what's good now, and understand where you are now. I do still see some value in Bitcoin, but yesterday somebody posted a $10 transaction with a $100,000 transaction fee, right? Like, is that what we're looking at now? And if that's what congestion does, then guess what? Yeah, I'll take some Kaspa congestion so my price goes up. But no, like, look at the improvements. You can move money faster and better on Kaspa, so why not try it and see what happens? And if it does work for you, guess what? Now we can build together. Because there's not one person that likes Kaspa that didn't like Bitcoin before. Because you have to. You have to.
Yeah.
It existed before, right? So if you can take that same mindset and you can dump it into anything else, call it Kaspa, call it anything else, go until you say no, and then move. I stopped with Bitcoin when I was like, okay, it's too fucking expensive and I can't use this. Not going to do it. I've already used way more Kaspa than I ever did Bitcoin. Straight up. Already have. And I've been only in Kaspa for like 4 months now. So, you know what I mean? Like, how many streams have you done with Bitcoin, right? Like, it's just, it just doesn't exist. So I love it. Anyone out there who hasn't been exposed to Kaspa and wants to know more, I just suggest go to Kaspa Silver, check out his YouTubes. If you have any questions, hit us up and maybe we can answer them. If not, keep an eye out. Follow Juan at Glitchin888 on Twitter every Wednesday night. Blockchain Banter Beneath the Surface, where they talk specifically Kaspa and what's going on underneath the surface of the crypto community. You guys bring out such great information, and there's so many guest speakers that come in, like Seb, who's a developer. Kaspa Onion, who's always out there spitting facts when it comes to Kaspa in the community. Just take a listen at some of these different outlets. We're here specifically on Vivor to give our generic Kaspa takes, but we wanted to do, a sports style show because we are children of the 80s and 90s. They used to bang their heads against the wall and go outside and play as much as possible. Our heroes were all sports figures, including the American Gladiators. Like, we just, so that's something we wanted to bring to the Kaspa community. It's been about 30 minutes in, and we haven't touched on sports yet, which is fine because this is what it is, right? We take it where it goes. Right. We did about 2 hours last week. I don't care how long we did today, but yeah, man. So let's let the Kaspa community entertain itself as it does. Anyone who's been listening, like I said, check out Kaspa Silver or any other Kaspa entities. And what do you say we jump into some sports?
Let's do it, brother.
All right. So we touched on it earlier. You're a Bucks fan. I'm a Packers fan.
Yeah.
Man, tough weekend, huh?
Rough, tough weekend.
In your travels, were you able to catch much of your game? Bucks versus
I caught the whole thing, man. Okay. I make sure it's the one game that I catch up on all the other ones, but it's the one game that I like sitting down and taking it in. So I watched it with my brother, which was an adventure in itself because we're different. I have a hard time watching games with like your casual fans. So I've gone to a lot of these games and being in the stadium, like it's tough for me. Sometimes I have to put in because some of the things that they yell, I go, I play quarterback. So I specifically look at the game with a completely different set of eyes, especially when you're at the game, right? I can see a play developing. And many times I'll be like, oh, okay. Oh, I can see the reads and what he's doing, what the quarterback's specifically doing. And I'll be like, oh, they got it. And I'm like the first person standing. And then everybody's like, what is he cheering about? And then I feel everybody else get up and cheer with me. So my brother played football too, but he wasn't a quarterback. He was a corner and a running back. And I'm a super optimistic football. I don't know what you're like, man, but I'm super optimistic. So even if shit is going wrong, I still believe like there's a way. And the game came down like all of them do, right? They come down to the last quarter, a couple plays here and there. But yeah, we caught the game, and
Oh no, I lost Juan. Uh-oh. He was rolling too. Juan, come back. Juan, come back. Let's see if I can pull this up here. Oh no. Right here, show on stream. Juan, you there?
yeah, I'm here.
We
Can you
got
see
him
me?
back. All right. Yeah, I got you now.
Yeah, yeah, that was weird. It just like it just showed my face.
There we
All
go.
right.
Okay, so you were talking.
We're good?
Yeah. Back into the game.
Yeah. So watching that game and the way it flowed, Baker's a little bit off. Had a couple throws here and there that I'm sure he would want to have back, and I just thought the Patriots they're coached really well. I like Vrabel. Yeah, but Vrabel came out a couple times as players were banged up, and it was just really cool how he would come on the field, hold the players' hands. You can tell he played in the NFL, right? He won Super Bowls with the Patriots. Oh, yeah. The energy that he brought to that team, I feel we were out schemed, out coached. Couple plays here and there made the difference. I like that kid Drake May. He's got a nice skill set. Made a couple of. He was off a little bit too, but they just made a couple plays here and there. They had some runs by that rookie running back. I forget his name off the top, but they were just the better team on Sunday. So I don't think the Bucks brought their best. There were a couple mess ups here and there, but that's football, man. It's a couple plays here and there that'll definitely sway the game one way or the other, and it was definitely tough to watch. I got a question for you too.
Yes, sir.
So I thought about this being with my brother. So I mentioned last week I was a 49ers fan, Florida State fan. There were teams that always won. Like these teams always won. When they lost though, when I was a kid, I would take it out on everybody until the next week. And they would have to like win again for me to feel better. Obviously not the case anymore. I've matured and grown up, and I leave it there. But I could feel it with my brother. He was just like, oh man, and like, talking a lot of shit about what they could have done and should have done. It reminded me of when I was younger and how I would like carry that. What was it like for you? And is it still that way for you?
So I'll start it with, it's not that way for me anymore.
Okay.
So, childhood trauma, what have you. The one thing that everyone was accepted was on Sunday. And when our families got closer together, we used to go to my mom's for Sunday Super Bowl or Sunday football. We would rotate who brings food, all of that. And the amount of cheerings and fuck yous and all that would happen at the TV, and you'd wear it on your fucking sleeve. I had mentioned the Packers-Steelers Super Bowl with my stepdad, and we watched the NFC and AFC championship games the 2 weeks before that, and we looked at each other and like, holy shit, we already won, because we knew we would be happier for each other, right? And that was like a bit of a turning point for me. But I have an unfortunate situation where my birthday is smack dab in the middle of the playoffs. It's January 11th. I have a terrible record. Well, the Packers specifically have a terrible record against the 49ers in the playoffs. They always lose, and they usually lose on my birthday, and it really like makes me upset. When we play the Cowboys on my birthday, though, we usually do really well. And I had so the long story short is, I flipped a chair when something happened in the playoffs. I forget which season it was. I want to say it was the 5-interception game against the Seahawks. I flipped the chair because not only did Russell Wilson throw 5 interceptions, but the Seahawks needed a touchdown a 2-point conversion, an onside kick, and another touchdown to win the game, and they did. They also had a fake field goal that they converted for a first down. So, like, everything went their way after the 5 interceptions, and the Packers couldn't get out of their own way. And I was pissed that the Packers didn't win. I flipped a chair, a recliner, and my son had a tiny recliner to match me. And about 2 weeks later, he got upset at something and flipped his recliner. And I was like, oh, my goodness.
Uh-oh.
I'm fucked. If I don't fix this, I'm fucked. And it took a long time to, like, get rid of that. But I would say over the last, since we talked about it, since the 2020 season where the Bucs beat the Packers in the NFC Championship game in January 21, these last 4 years have just been, you know what, or 5 years now, I'm not playing. There's nothing I can do. You know, like, the Bucs did everything they could in that game to not win, and then the Packers didn't capitalize on those opportunities. So it does sit with me. Like, I will get pissed off if my team doesn't win, but if there's an obvious reason why they didn't win, I don't care. You know, like last night, Packers played the Eagles, and it was a fantastic defensive game. It was, can your offense move the football? And when the answer is no, you get to see a lot more fun football, in my opinion, because again, we grew up on it in the 80s and 90s. It was 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and if you get a chance to throw the ball for 200 yards in the game, you had a crazy game. So, I think Steve Young has a career completion percentage of like 58, right? But he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Or maybe it's Elway that's 50. I think
it's Elway.
Young might be like 64, but still.
Something like that.
Yeah. But Jordan Love's, he was throwing for 71% this year. Like, that's stupid. Like, these passes are supposed to be broken up. You're supposed to get drilled. One intercept, we talked about again last week, right? Jameis led the league in interceptions. He wouldn't be allowed to start next year. As a matter of fact, he wasn't, right? He went to the Saints, but still, like, all these things happen, and it's out of your control. So as a fan, dude, I scaled all that shit all the way back. As a baseball fan of the Yankees and a Packers fan, I've seen championships, and then I live in Eagles country, right? I live in the Philadelphia area, and they used to say, I'm boycotting the season. The Phillies are going to win the World Series this year, and then they would give up on them after 40 games, and I'm like, well, you guys aren't fans, right? Like, and I would never give up on my team, but what I would realize, if the Packers don't win the Super Bowl, there's 31 other teams that have an opportunity, which means that 31 teams lose the Super Bowl every year. Mm-hmm. Only one team wins. That's hard. So, like, why would you be upset that your team didn't win the Super Bowl? Like, and I got buddies who are, let's just say, less than fans, right? Like, if my team's winning and their team goes 4-12 for the season, or 4-13, when they would start talking shit to me because I went 15-1 and lost in the playoffs, it's like, well, you guys finished last in the division. Why are you talking shit to me? Oh, because y'all didn't win. No, neither did you. And you didn't win by, like, week 11. So, like, why? So, like, all that stuff, I let all of that go, man. I watch my team for what happens, and then I just move the fuck on, because you can't. And again, part of mental sovereignty, right? Like, I've done this with relationships in the past, and I couldn't put a finger on it, right? I just had to do it this weekend. With a relationship, it's like when you realize that these things aren't two-way streets, but you allow their side of it to control how you feel. Well, that's not mental sovereignty. You're allowing these outside factors to control you. So, to answer your question, does it stay with me? No, not anymore. Not anymore, because you can't fix it. You can't fix it. If the only way you can fix it is for them to play again, and hopefully they do better this time, why? You're now relying on 53 guys to do something better than another 53 guys, and you're not any of those 53 guys. Out of the,
but we think we are. That's why we think we are. That's why we say we and we got to. And I mean, again, I see both sides of it. I see it all now very clearly, and that's why I think I can really appreciate it, because I mentioned last week how living the way I've lived and living on sound money and being able to achieve some of these goals where there was a good 3 or 4 year stretch where I didn't watch TV, Bishop. I didn't watch any football.
Oh, wow.
I literally was just building business, and because I thought that's what I needed to do. Right. And I was very disconnected from all sports and all that, and really reconnecting the way I have, we'll call it over the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years. I was a season ticket holder for the Bucks all through the Jameis years. That was tough, right? And there were years and there was like, why do I even care? Why is this even happening? But now looking back at it, and as crazy as it may sound, studying money the way I have, and studying economics, and studying the macro scene, and just understanding, at the end of the day, it's a game. But people, with what they're doing in their lives, sometimes they're doing it to just make money or earn a living. And it's you more relate to this game that it represents you. It's this battle, right? So these people are out there living a dream per se, and it just makes sense. It makes sense that people get as passionate as they do. I can see it for what it is, and now I can laugh at it, right? Because there were times that I had to cut people out of my life because they'd be very intense with it. And I think you got to do that sometimes. Like, some of these people take it like, you're actually not out there on the field. You're not on the team. You're not one of these guys. These are kids. I've hung out with some of these guys here in Miami. Like, they're literally kids living out their dreams, getting paid like kings. They're the modern day gladiators is what they are, So take it for what it is. And they're small percentage of people in the world ever make it to that in that system. And I do think it's a representation of what it's like in the system trying to make it. Right? A lot of things had to go right for those kids, every single one of them out there. So understanding that and seeing that has had me really appreciate it. And same. It's like I used to carry it when I was a kid because I didn't understand it. But now that I've gotten to the level that I've gotten to, it's like I allow myself to get pissed. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, damn it, had he just thrown it a little bit to the outside, right? Like Drake May threw that interception in the end zone, and we had a chance to go down the field, 4th and 3, and they ran a play. I do have a problem with sometimes the plays that are called, but when they work, I'm like, okay, that was great. So it's going to be a pass or a run. You just never know, and you're going to look like a genius or like an idiot depending on the outcome of that. But I know the physical toll that it takes to play that sport. So, and the respect that I have for these young men going out there and sacrificing their bodies and they're entertainers is what they are.
Sure.
So at the same time, it's fun to speculate and say this and that, but to carry that with you is, we did it when we were kids, man.
Yeah.
You eventually got to move past.
I still get up, I still get hype, and I still get pissed when it happens. But right before the start of the season, the Packers traded for Micah Parsons from the Cowboys, right? And I have a Bears fan buddy and an Eagles fan buddy who both hit me up like, damn, like, y'all really going to get somewhere. I'm like, I don't know. We don't have an offensive line and we don't have good cornerbacks. So does another edge rusher help us? Not really. And then pundits on TV, does this make Packers Super Bowl favorites and all this shit? Well, right now they're sitting at 5-3-1. It's exactly where I thought we would be. Like, it's not, the expectations so that's how jaded I am, is that I was so obsessed with sports. For instance, I used to watch preseason games of football to watch the offensive line, because the offensive and defensive line are the two places where if your best player gets injured at those positions, the second one behind him is nowhere near as good, right? Like, you can have a CeeDee Lamb and a George Pickens, right? Like, you can have two good receivers, right? But you don't necessarily have two good right guards. So if your right guard goes down and you're facing a Warren Sapp, good luck. It's a long day at the office, right? And because I watch it that way, like, I knew the pieces that we lost plus the pieces we brought in when it came to offensive line, it's like, well, and the Packers lost both of their starting, in quotes, I'll put starting cornerbacks from 24 coming into 25, and the only person that they picked up was a career nickel corner who's now going to be on the outside. Well, okay, so what does that mean to me, right? Like, I have to now trust that it's just going to be okay. And when you look at 24 to 25, the Packers are the opposite ends of the turnover margin. Like we're around 1-1 in turnover margin, but we've only caused 4 turnovers and we've only let up 4 turnovers. So like, but last year we created over 24 turnovers. So like that's not happening because we aren't getting as good pressure because they're getting the ball out quick because we don't have good corners. So like, do I get overindulged if we give up 40 points and tie the Cowboys? No, because I expect that because we don't have a good secondary, right? And last night, I loved it. Again, that like I said, I watched it from a defensive standpoint because these are both really good teams. And can the Packers actually compete with the Eagles? Well, they can. You know, like and fucking A, like that's a good thing. But also, they lost because their offensive line wasn't giving Jordan Love any time. So am I mad at Jordan Love for not making great decisions? Not really. Am I pissed off at LaFleur for not being able to coach up the O-line? Not really. Am I mad at the GM for putting this team together? No, because my expectations aren't Super Bowl. They are, maybe a game or two above 500. That's what I felt like. We'll be. I mean, I'll look it up later, but I thought, coming into the season, we'd be like 11-6. With a chance at competing for the division because the Bears just got a brand new head coach, a great offensive coordinator, but unproven, and the Lions lost their coordinators. So there's a chance that the Packers can be competing for the division and will be. Right now, Lions 6-3, Bears 6-3, Packers 5-3-1. Yeah, that's right where I thought things would be. I'm not mad at it. But when you look at hype on TV above, I guess, in my opinion, understanding the game, like you said, like, if you knew your offense was shit in Tampa Bay, like, would you be mad that you don't score points? Like
no, I'm amazed that so the Bucs started off 5-1 this year, and the fact that they were 5-1. You mentioned the trenches, right? The O line, the D line. They had their starting center, who was the first overall pick, Graham Barton. Their starting center started at left tackle because Tristan Wirfs ended up getting surgery and wasn't available for the first 4 games. So the best left tackle, some consider him the best left tackle in football, wasn't even in there. And that's the most important position it's the blind side of Baker Mayfield, right? Right-handed quarterback. And Tristan Wirfs is another, like a Micah Parsons, is a game wrecker on defense. Tristan Wirfs shores up that left side. This man's, I think he's only given up 2 or 3 sacks in 5 years. That's how good he is. And if you watch the film on him, this kid, he changes the game and the game plan for the Bucs on offense. So we didn't have him the first 4 weeks. The starting center started at left tackle, and it was interchangeable with the guards. And then the right tackle went out, Luke Gadecki, another guy that they signed to a long-term contract. So it was a different lineup the first 5-6 weeks of the season, and they pulled out some wins. Like they went up to Seattle and won that game. And started 5-1. And the last couple of years, Baker being there, this is his 3rd year, the Bucs started off slow. I think they were 4-7, and then they've managed to win the division. So I don't have, being a Bucs fan, yeah, we had Brady for those years. I don't have expectations anymore because it's not healthy for me. I don't like to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. I like to cheer and almost like be in the moment and just appreciate where the guys are at. But the fact that Baker's numbers look great, he's not turning the ball over. He's not the reason they've lost. Again, a couple plays here and there, they've played some good teams. So the Patriots coming out and doing what they did, I thought just the scheme and a couple plays here and there is what made the difference in this game. And that they're the first 4 weeks of the season, the Bucs came from behind in the last minute and scored. And everybody was talking about Baker as MVP. I just know that this is a week-to-week league, man. Things can change like that, right? And it's pretty entertaining to see where it goes and how it goes. But I love the nuances of the game. I mean, football to me is the chess of sports, and it's a really great game for me to watch on the weekends and dedicate those few hours and watch the Bucs because it really does. It brings me a lot of joy, man. Win or lose, it brings me joy. It really does. Because I like to see how these guys bounce back. I think there's so many correlations with life and football, being able to relate. I was talking to my brother because I don't typically watch the pre-games, but this week we did. We went and caught the pre-games, and I love the stories of some of these kids, the things that they had to overcome, you know. And one of the things to bring to light is again, this being a game, and sometimes these kids taking it almost way too serious, because unfortunately with that player from Nealon from the Cowboys and what happened, this kid scored a touchdown on national television on Sunday, went through a couple of things, and we don't know what people they're people at the end of the day. So I do have a problem when I go to these games and I hear people, and I have stood up for these guys, sitting really close, when people are yelling, talking about their moms and shit like that. I'm like, hey, people get drunk, and I don't drink at these games either. Like I'm not. So I'm pretty level-headed and shit, and I stick up for the players. Because even though I say we too, it's I feel like I'm a part of them, and I do kind of feel like I have to protect them. But yeah, man, there's so many parts of the games that of football that are relatable to life, and I think that's why it's our culture here. It's like a religion here, and again, it makes sense. It makes sense that it is, but at the end of it, it is a game. It's entertainment. We're not supposed to take that shit with us to our home. Some people do. Well, I went to college in Wisconsin. I remember back then people talking about how domestic violence goes up when the Packers lose. Crazy, right? So that shit is out there. Yeah. And it needs to stop. That doesn't need to stop.
No, that's it. And life's not that serious. And that's something that I learned too. Like, that when you put all your eggs in one basket, financially, emotionally, physically. Oh yeah. You got to diversify your life, man. Like, yes, I agree with you. Like having that moment on Sundays or Mondays, like it is really cool, man. Like shouts to Matthew McNarley on Twitter, as my buddy for forever. We drove Christmas Eve to make it to a Bears Packers game Christmas Day. I just found a poster from it that I'm going to hang in the background. But anyway, before the season started, we were talking to each other. And it's like, you ready for the season? I'm like, yeah, I don't really feel like getting invested this year because every year, same thing, blah, blah, blah. Week one happens. It's like, God damn, man, that first snap of the game, it just feels different. Yes. It's just such a part of you, but you got to let go, man. We try to go to as many Yankee games as we can every year. Like your goal for football, we want to do that for baseball, right? We want to hit all the stadiums. And we started with our son in 21, taking him to Yankee games. So at the time he was 7 turning 8. So that's when because we're like, how old is old enough to understand he's where he is, right? And he's seen 1 win out of 7 games. The other ones, the Yankees end up losing, and he cries because he wants to see them win, and I completely get it. But fortunate enough, we've been to more away stadiums than Yankee Stadium. Number one, Yankee Stadium, so fucking expensive. But we did get a chance to take them there, and when we went, there was a fireworks show. It was awesome. But all the other stadiums that we went to the White Sox, we went to the Nationals. We go to Baltimore every year. Actually, that's it. But we go to Baltimore, like, we try to get at least twice a year. Definitely once a year, try twice a year. But in those 3 stadiums, he's seen 1 win in Baltimore, 2 losses, and then the loss to the Nationals, the loss to the White Sox. And I long-windedly say that. Yankees lose, everyone's celebrating. You see people talking shit to other Yankee fans. There was a fight at one of the games when we were leaving. At the same game where a Yankee fan was fighting an Oriole fan, the guy right in front of us, we were talking shit to back and forth, like playfully, right? Like, because I have so much respect for younger talent in baseball because it's so hard to make it to the big leagues, right? So at the time they had Jackson Holliday, who just came up, and Adley Rutschman, who was a catcher, and another guy. They were balling that year, and we go, and something happened, and he turns around and goes, "Oh, what about that?" And I'm like, "Okay." And then something else happened or whatever, and I go, "You know what? That catcher guy, he's pretty dang good." He's like, "He's the best." Turns out they're not even signing him again, right? So like, there's this small window of being successful. Like you said, it's so hard for them to make it. So top of the 9th inning. This guy, Ben Rice, hits a home run for the Yankees to go up. And I just go, I look right at him and I go, "You got the bird, but we got the rice." You know, a little chicken and rice combo here, roast pollo, baby. Like, you know, and I'm messing with him, and he's laughing, and he gives me a high five, like, yeah, you got that when that ball was hit so good. Like, it was one of those things where we could feel the energy of the beauty of baseball. Bottom of the ninth inning, they get two guys on. Fucking, it was either a double or a home run, and then the Orioles win the game. And he looks back at me. I'm like, I've got my hands up. I'm like, nah, man, great game. What else could you want, right? Yankees down,
Right.
They take the lead in the ninth. The Orioles are down, and then the Orioles win. And it's like, what more do you want? That's all you want, man. And then I try to tell it to my son. It's like, dude, we're in a stadium of 30,000 people. 20,000 of them at least want the Orioles to win. And then there's 10,000 that feel just like you right now. But all those people that wanted them to win, look how happy they are. That's so cool. Like, and I try to bring it to them that way because, yeah, we could be pissed off, but then we got to drive home an hour and a half or an hour plus and be pissed off. Like, you don't want to do that. You did that, right? You drive up to Tampa, you lose, and now you're off the entire drive back for 3 hours? No way.
Right.
It's not worth it.
And what's interesting with your son gets emotionally involved. My son doesn't give a shit. And he just doesn't care. If anything, he's helped me realize how it's just not a big deal. It's just the game. Because by halftime, he wants to get on his phone and play chess. So he's not really into sports to a point where a couple of years ago. So my son, since he was 4, I've taken him to a Bucks game every year. And we started going, and that's super cool that you're taking your son to baseball stadiums. What I get from people are like, oh, you should do this with baseball, not football stadiums. A lot of them are very similar. So I may have to join you. I want to check out Yankee Stadium in Baltimore. We're going to have to come up, and I'll bring the boy.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Lost him again, just when we were making plans. What the fuck? Why does this happen?
I don't know.
It might be on my side. I'm trying to make clips on Vivor too, and the last time I tried to make a clip, I think that's what happened.
That's what happened?
Yeah. No, yes, there is a uniqueness to baseball, but the better part of watching baseball live compared to football is you have a better opportunity to see the entire game. I've been to football 50-yard line. I've been to football 30-yard line. I've been to football in the end zone. There's no best seat in the house to see the entire game. The best seat in the house to see the entire game is the seat in your house to see the entire game. Where baseball, you can truly see the entire field, the entire game anywhere, and I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm different, man, because again, I played quarterback, so for me, and I'll sometimes I'll have my headphones in because what the defense is trying to do before, I'll call out, I'll be like, okay, he's switching to a run right here. Oh, he's got a hot route right there.
Nice.
Oh, he's got cover 2. He's gonna and like, for example, when on the first game of the season against the Bucks played in Atlanta, we were there.
Oh, nice.
And that play that Emeka, it's just the energy in the stadium when you're at an away stadium and there's not as many of us. I got up and I could see that play happening before it happens. And I got up, I'm like, oh, he's got him. And they scored the touchdown. There's nothing like that. My son just sat there like, oh, okay, cool. He's not as into it. He loves going to the games because it's time with dad. So that's when we bond. And we hang out, and what I was saying before, I guess it's split up there is, at a certain point I was like, well, man, if he's not going to get emotionally invested, what is this? But then I realized it's like, no, he likes spending time with dad, and that's all this is, right? Us building these traditions, these bonding moments for us, because it's not just about going to the game. Actually, for us, it's like when we go to these away games. It's, we get to hang out in a hotel. He likes museums. So we went to Atlanta.
Oh.
They have the Coca-Cola museum. That's where Coca-Cola was made. So we were able to go to the museum and spend some time there. And he really enjoys that. So, and he knows I enjoy the football and it's not really his thing. And that's cool. But he's still there with me trying to cheer it on. But, there isn't much interest in the game yet. My younger brother was actually like that, even though he played the sports. He wasn't as interested in watching. He was interested in playing it. So Yeah, man, there's nothing like, I think whether it's baseball that you're into, football, it doesn't matter. I've been hockey games. Like, I remember my first hockey game was game 3, Rangers versus Lightning.
Oh, wow.
In overtime, where they won that. I actually have a clip. A buddy of mine found, he's like, "Is this you?" And it was an advertisement of a light. Like, I had my hands up like this when they scored, and it was me holding my hands up like this. The first hockey game I ever go to, they win in overtime last second. It was super cool. But the energy, my point is the energy of sports and actually being there. There isn't anything else that comes close to that, And that's really what it's about. It's about experiencing that in the moment. You get a little taste of it when you watch it on TV, and like you said, I think even getting together with friends, family, having those little traditions. That's really what it's about. That's being alive in life and experiencing it. And that's really what it's about at the end of the day, right? It's not holding on to any of the bullshit that happens and attaching yourself to any specific outcomes, right? Trying to let that shit go,
No,
but they're lessons in life.
1,000%. And the more, we talked about it earlier with the screen time, right? Like, the more you can be outside and experience other things. I do have a bucket list, right? Like, when it comes to seeing all the stadiums, St. Louis is on my list, right? Because it's not just, well, number one reason is baseball culture in St. Louis. The Cardinals, more so than the Dodgers, are the Yankees of the National League. Like, they are just entrenched with baseball history. They have more World Series than other National League teams, but they're one of those where, like, I saw a guy wearing a Cardinal shirt at a gas station, and I go, "Hey man, respect." He goes, "Huh?" I'm like, "I'm a Yankees fan, and I can kind of understand that you guys watch baseball the same way I do. I would imagine, like, how good your team can be, supposed to be, but if you're not, you kind of understand that that's okay too." He goes, "Every year, man, every year." And that kind of trust and appreciation for baseball, like, I want to feel that. But also, St. Louis is a dope city with its own culture. I've never been, I went to Chicago on a whim with college because there was a food festival, and I didn't even go to the festival. I went because the hotel was paid for, and you had to pay to get into the festival. It was like $15. I didn't feel like doing that. I wanted to see the city. Well, Chicago's different than Philly. It's different than New York. It's different than Miami. Like, these other cultures that exist within your own country are usually rooted and attached to different sports teams. So if you end up going to, like you said, Atlanta, and you hit the Coca-Cola Museum, like, yes, do that. Like, do that. And that's the beauty of sports when it comes to life, period, is that we have these different pockets of demographics, if you will, regardless of race, religion, situation, climate, whatever the fuck. When you step into that arena, it's usually this guy versus that guy. Again, a little bit of wrestling there too, right? You end up there, and look, there's a good guy and a bad guy. There's someone you're rooting for, someone you're rooting against, and that type of unity comes from looking forward, right? Like, you're looking at what's in front of you, not what is not next to you, or or what is the difference in you. No, it's the common interest of looking forward, and that is the beauty of sports, man. It's so fucking cool, that these athletes have this structure to put on entertainment for us. It's fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome. Real quick, just to encapsulate that, though, it was more or less like you're saying, to indulge the culture around those things too, while you're giving into it is really fucking cool.
Yeah, that's what sports does, man. It brings people together. It brings you to presence. And actually, if you look at these athletes, that's what they experience when they're on a roll. When again, me being a quarterback, I can relate to these moments. I had one of those moments. I threw a game-winning pass, homecoming, high school, down 7-3. We were playing like shit, and I threw that game-winning pass, and I remember looking to the sidelines, and that was a memory that stuck with me for such a long time, and it's still with me, right? Like, I can go back and reference that, and it's the same feeling in life, and going throughout life and experiencing these things and having that. It was just a presence. It was experiencing energy at a level of, wow, I want to do that again. And I think we're going through this shift in in our culture and energy of really understanding that is available to us in a lot of different ways, not just through sports, right? And yeah, man, it's really cool to experience sports at this level. Encourage anybody who hasn't gone to a game, to check it out, because it's a whole nother experience.
Yeah, and if you're a super nerd for sports, just about every city in America is 10 miles from a minor league baseball stadium, or if you want to just expose your children to sports, taking them to a minor league stadium is perfect, because it's like $10 tickets and $4 beers with $2 hot dogs, and you can still get that full experience of fun. And they usually put more into entertaining the fans while you're there. We got a minor league stadium up the road from us, and it's like every night's a promotion. They have fireworks every Wednesday, and there's always something else throughout the week, because they need sponsorships to keep the stadiums open, even though the major league teams do give them some money. But it's a different infrastructure, and they really and you still get the same vibe, right? You walk up the ramp and you go through the tunnel and all that stuff. Like, it's just live sports are the best, and hopefully we can start to cover a little bit more on our show here. I know we like to live free instead of tying ourselves down. So the last thing I want to do is watch like 30 basketball games a week just to be able to talk about what's going on. But
yeah, we're probably not going to happen. Point, Yeah, for sure. It's easy. It's easy.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's easy with highlight culture to get on YouTube and catch the clips and the highlights. It'll give you a general feel, but yeah, the games I definitely watch from end to end. That's the Bucks. And when baseball season comes around, I may pick it up again. I did not watch them this year because I was studying the crap out of Kaspa and money, bro. So that's where I spend a lot of my time. But I'm a Rays fan too.
Okay.
I don't think I mentioned that. I'm not sure if I mentioned that.
No, you didn't, and because I would have told you, well, the Rays need to move to North Carolina because nobody shows up to the games in Tampa Bay. I've been saying that
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I don't know how they've.
It bothers me.
They don't even. They don't even play in Tampa. They play in. I don't know if you. I mean, the Yankees train down there, and they played in the Yankees spring training facility. Yeah, so I didn't even go. I typically go to a game with my son every year. We didn't go this year, and it wasn't. I literally. For me, baseball, you can have it in the background. So the Rays have just been good since 2008 or so when they made that first World Series. And, I was in Tampa at that time, and it was just I just kept following them because of it. So they've had a run. They've been one of the winningest franchises, since I want to say around that time. So I don't keep up with baseball as much. But, yeah, man, that's been another tradition with so I like to do in real life things. So I take my son to a baseball game, take him to a football game. I'm committed to taking him to an away game every year for the Bucks. So we went to Atlanta this year. Last year we went to, that was 2024. Where did we go? I got to think about that. 2023 we went to Minnesota. That was super cool, that dome.
Yeah. I haven't
just
been,
the
it's
little
a great stadium, good culture up there.
It's a dome, and it feels like you're outside. I want to say they have a clear ceiling, and it just feels like you're outside. Yeah. Oh, and I took them to New Orleans in 2024. So we've done Minnesota, New Orleans, and Atlanta this year. And I may take them to Carolina because they're a division opponent. We play them every single year. There aren't any away games stadiums I hadn't been to for the Bucks. So I'm not going to add to that 21 this year.
Oh, okay.
But in 2027 we play. I think I'm going to say in 2026 or 27 we play Philly. Because you asked last week which ones were the stadiums I haven't been to. It's like Philly, Pittsburgh, the Northeast up there, New England. I haven't been to New England, so I think we play that division either 2026 or 2027.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Maybe hit up a few of them that year.
Yeah, the way I want to do it with the Yankee side of it is I want to do a travel wraparound. Like, if they're in, because I want to go to Pittsburgh because they say that's the best baseball stadium out there. But when they play Pittsburgh, I would prefer if they play Cincinnati next, so you can go from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati and hit two stadiums in a driving weekend. because I live like 8 hours from Pittsburgh, so we can drive there
Okay.
on a Friday, spend the night, hit an afternoon game on a Saturday, or spend the day in Pittsburgh on Saturday, hit an afternoon game on Sunday, and then drive to Cincinnati on Monday, catch the game on Tuesday, go home on Wednesday, like make a week out of it, have a double trip that way. And that's the cool thing about hitting baseball stadiums is you can kind of go back to back if the schedule lines up that way. We want to do a West Coast trip the same way, right? They're out there playing the A's and the Angels and Seattle. Let's hit all three. Let's take 2 weeks off and go to all three stadiums. Like shit like that would be so cool, but that comes with some financial sovereignty that we haven't quite hit yet. But the goals are there for sure, and it is about who your team plays when they play. What's cool about baseball now, from a going to standpoint, I don't really like it from a schedule standpoint, is that every year they rotate playing every single team. So they play every single team every year, but then they rotate year after year when they play at the stadium. So, for instance, last year they played the Nationals in Washington. This year they played the Nationals in New York. Next year they're playing the Nationals in Washington again. So
Gotcha.
it rotates like that. So last year they played St. Louis in St. Louis. They played Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. So next year they'll play St. Louis in New York, play Pittsburgh in New York, and they won't be going to those cities. So next year we're not going. In 27, that's
27.
The plan is we're hitting both of those stadiums because it only comes up every other year. And if we can, manifest that, that'd be fucking dope.
Yeah, man, we're manifesting it right now.
Yeah.
That'll be that's a cool goal.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I have to join you with the boy, man.
Okay.
That would be fun.
No, that sounds great.
Yeah, I like that.
This journey's just beginning. This is episode 2. By then we'll be on episode 400. Or
Right.
200. We might be on episode 200. Do an episode live from the Nationals Park
From the stadiums.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Those are the things that should be able to happen over the next couple years. Not just with us as a unit, but in this growing bit of technology that specifically Kaspa is. Because, again, you were just talking to Andrew, the Wizard. It's a great name for him, by the way. If you follow the Kasper ecosystem, Kasper with a K ecosystem, he's basically the developer of all that stuff. The actual, fingers on keyboard developer. He's a fantastic developer. He create all kinds of shit, but it's like, hey, what about this? And he's like, give me a day. And and he changes it into something so cool. And I would imagine, the same way you can live stream to Twitch from your phone, you'll be able to do the same thing with Vivor within the next 2 years. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
He's smart enough to figure it out, and Casper's growing big enough to figure it out. And that'd be great. That'd be awesome. But look, that's how cool the reason for doing this show is. We wanted to talk, how does real life and cryptocurrency come together? How does everything meet themselves where they're at, right? Like we talked about. When you meet people where they're at, you find a lack of resistance, not trying to conform. So as we're going through this journey, myself and Pastor Juan here, we are bringing every perspective to where they're at. We're not forcing sports into Vivor. No, we're talking sports on Vivor. And if Vivor migrates in some way to cell phone app at a sports venue, then everything's just going to meet themselves and each other where they're at. And I'm so excited for that opportunity.
Yeah, brother. I mean, you spoke to it earlier too, where technology is moving. I mean, we got a taste of what it was like to see what it was like before the internet, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember for me, and then even cell phones, right? I didn't get my first flip phone until I was a senior. I want to say senior in high school or got into college, and I remember they were not colored screens. And then when I was in college, colored screen, that was a big deal. So we saw it evolve. And, you brought up Andrew, for example, and he's he developed Vivor and is putting all this all together. He's a young dude in his early 20s. And he gave me his story a little bit about how he got into all this and how he sees things. And I think, looking at him and how he thought and what he shared with me in terms of, he dropped out of school and just saw an opportunity. He's like, why am I going to school when AI is coming out and AI can just look this up and figure it out? And again, how quickly he moved through things, right? And that is a representation of what this technology is. And if you look at how things are playing out, again, technology is changing every day. The innovation that we've seen in technology over the past, let's call it the past 100 years, we're probably going to see that in the next 5 to 10. And it's only going to continue to compound, right? So there's a lot of, for example, there's a lot of fear out there from people who work jobs where they say, oh, the AIs and the robots are going to take over. Well, it's just, this is history essentially repeating itself, right? They say history doesn't repeat, it often rhymes. And there's going to be these new ways for us to exist, whether it's content creation and I really think what it's going to call people into is interacting the way we're doing on here. It's going to call people being with each other a lot more. And that's going to be really important for the evolution of us as a species, as humans. And a lot of those jobs that are like mindless jobs where you don't have to do much and think that much, the robots are going to do that. You're going to have to be able to interact with people more. And life is about experiences. Life is about talking about going to these sports events and experiencing that and being entertained by that, and we're going to have to find a new way to make, again, what touches everything is what touches everybody is money. Right. And so this is fun. We don't know what's going to come of it, but I know whenever I put myself right where I'm at, it evolves the way it's supposed to. And I'm not going to resist what's coming at me. I'm always going to take a look at things for what they are. And man, it's just, I'm excited to see your journey and your evolution in this. I think it's funny that you say I'm at a level 10, and I don't really see it that way, but I can see. I don't care about the levels, man. It's just like not how I've lived for a long time. But I can see it. I can see what you're talking about, right? I'm very blessed, very fortunate, and that's part of the reason why I enjoy talking on these platforms now, because it's like, no, man, I'm not anything special, bro. I just didn't overcomplicate it. I simplified it and really would, try to operate from presence and speak truth. And that's it, and that's it. When you come from there, you have hope and you're not focusing on the bullshit that you can't control. Life shows you where you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to vibe there, man. Every single time. That's been my experience.
No, for sure. And look, but part of what you did is counter to what the system says you're supposed to do. Yeah. So when I look at when I give you the credit for level 10, it's more about me seeing the perspective that you garnered. If you never hit $1 million, if you weren't even in Kaspa, it's just you speaking the way that you speak, because I've gone down this road. Part of having rental properties was to like, well, this is passive income, so it's going to make me enough money, so let's go get another one. Mm-hmm. But we never looked at it as, like I said, as a business to be able to maximize what that is to then create the sovereignty, right? We were waiting for everything to happen to us, and you grinded. I'll take nothing away from your journey, but when you finally got to where you thought you were supposed to be, you had that light bulb moment. And I realized I don't have to get to that level to have that light bulb moment. And that's you bringing it to where I'm at. Yes. And I'm like, holy shit. So when you say that you're just a reflection, that's absolutely true. I agree. For lack of better depiction, you are the older version of me in that reflection, because I can see where I can get to. Now, I appreciate it. You say it's in me already. There's a tangibleness, though, that is what I'm saying I have to get to. And older is a construct anyway, right? Like, if I'm better 5 minutes from now, then that's part of the reflection. And I'm okay with that. It's just when I say that level 10 that I see you on, it's, okay, I was playing the wrong game. I was looking at this through the structured fiat-style life that you got to get a job. You got to get a 401k. Your house, you're only allowed 2.5 kids and a white picket fence. Like, when you're trying to continue to jump inside that box, the ability to step out of it gets harder and harder. So I stepped out of the box trying to. I'm continually trying to step out of the box to understand what that sovereignty looks like. And then as I start to touch that, I know what I'm growing into. And that's where having that break was. Like, I'm no genius by putting two words together, but mental sovereignty really is a piece that, again, I've been in therapy for 3 years now, 4 years now. I don't even know how long it's been, and I've yet to understand how to put the tools into preventative maintenance, right? So in particular, anger issues, right? People tell you how to address your anger when it comes up. Well, how do you operate so that it doesn't express itself, right? No, get angry. All emotions exist. All emotions are real. Be angry. But that anger needs to manifest in a way where you can regulate it before it's expressed. I don't fucking know how to do that. I'm Irish Italian. They're fucking yelling at you every, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to happen. But it also, like, it also should be possible. And I know it can be possible because if I'm not weighing acceptance from potential employers, if I'm not weighing the status of my bank account, if I'm not weighing these societal norms, then that lowers the anger. Why would I be mad at someone for not giving me a job when they didn't have a job to give me in the first place, right? Like, it wasn't mine. It's there, and I have a chance, but it doesn't mean I can have it. Like, so, like, it's not worth putting on that weight to create a hurdle for that sovereignty. No, operate in the sovereignty, and what comes to you is supposed to. It's a little woo-woo for me,
Yeah. For a lot of people, I'm sure. I'm sure for some people that are listening.
Right, but it's also true. Like, you are allowed to have other things than what comes to you, for sure. You can go get those other things, but if you don't end up getting that, then fuck it, go get something else.
Yeah.
And if you want to get the thing that keeps eluding you, then yes, you can drive harder for that. But it's also not supposed to be here. It's not supposed to sit right here and control what you do.
Yeah. I think you're speaking to exactly what I have seen manifest in my life, and that's, I have it on my profile on X, and it's I say attached to nothing and connected to everything. So what that specifically means for me is I know this, and I've seen this in my life. It's played out, and so many times. It's okay. I'd like to do that. Like we just mentioned, I'd love to go to St. Louis, or I haven't been to Yankee Stadium either, right? So I'll put something out there in the universe. Now it's out there. Now that energy's out there, and I can tell you countless times when I've said that, and then let's call it before I would look at the world this way or set goals this way, because I don't even necessarily look at myself as someone who sets goals. Or I just know that energy's out there, and I'm not attached to that happening in any specific way. And I'm open to that coming to me however it comes to me, right? So I get that may sound woo-woo for some people. And it's a completely different construct of looking at how you can achieve things based on what you're told. Like, okay, this whole set goals. What's your goal for this year? How about your 5-year vision? Bro, if I did that shit, there's no way I'd be vibing in life the way I did right now. I mean, there were times I got from point A to point Z and skipped all these steps and just made it there because an opportunity presented itself. So that's what I mean by attached to nothing. A lot of times you think that you have to go down, go from 1 to 2 to 3. You have to go down all these steps and check off all these boxes, and then you get there. Versus just, hey, it'd be really cool to go to these baseball stadiums. It'd be really awesome what would it be like to have $1 million? Like, how would I vibe? And then you start living in that energy and vibing in that energy, and that calls all this energy to you. You start attracting all these different possibilities. You start seeing it, and because you're not attached to it happening in a specific way, it shows up, and I'm telling you, it'll show up in ways you don't expect. And the more and more you can vibe in that energy, it's a beautiful way to live, man. It's a beautiful way to live. So I think obviously that's what you definitely feel for me, or you see for me, and you've heard from me, with how we've connected over the last few months, and why we're here sharing the way we're sharing. It's different, right? A lot of people don't necessarily talk like this, right? It's not necessarily mainstream. Mainstream is the corporate world, or hearing what Stephen A. Smith has to say and how he
Oh no, you said Stephen A. Smith and it cut you out. Even when you're on the Kaspa Standard, you can still get shut down by Stephen A. Smith.
I brought him up last week.
Yeah.
I think his opinions are cool. It's just they're very polarizing though, in terms of how he, right? And that's a construct of the other system, man. It's like, I don't know how much he gets paid to just give us his opinion, but and they're valid opinions for Stephen A. Smith, but they're not the way we all think or what we all feel.
For sure.
And I think that's the world that we're coming into. We're at the very beginning phases of this Vivor thing and this Kaspa thing. But I do see over time there being these pockets of channels of people creating content and like building little communities. So it's not about us getting 100,000, 1 million views on here. It really is about, hey, I don't give a shit if it's 5 people, 10 people that resonate with this, but you building community within that. And that's how I see it. Again, not attached to it being that way, but that's how I see it playing out over time. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to be a part of this ride and see what comes of it.
Absolutely. And look, I'll say transparently, we got 25 in tips last week, no tips today. I don't care. We're here for the conversation, right? Like, yes, again, right. Yes, fully transparent. If we made 1,000 casts every week, that would make me so happy. If we went 5 days a week and we made 1,000 casts every episode, that'd make me so happy. But that's where you build to organicness. To beg for that now, I used to do it when I first started the podcast. Within a month, I bought T-shirts because I thought that's what you're supposed to do, and I was sending out T-shirts from my house and all that shit. and what I learned was the trying to receive the podcast growth was the same thing as living within those constraints, right? I was weighing my emotions over something I couldn't control. I can't control how many people listen to me. I can't control how many people watch the show. I can't control any of that. All I can control is putting the best I can into what I'm doing. So I've always been, a bit afraid of audio or from visual because I'm not good at this stuff. I'm not good at tech, and we're making this work, and so far so good. I appreciate it. I love it. I think I get very excited doing this. I wish I knew how to do it better like that, but I also don't quite have the capacity to learn that way either. So like it has to kind of come to me a little bit, and then I can take pieces and figure it out. But I'm not gonna beg for listens or watches or anything like that anymore because it is about creating the best content possible. And I've gotten compliments left, right, and center from people, and I've cried over the adulation that I've gotten over what this is, and that feels good. It feels good. Man. So like
that's all that matters.
Yeah, this new thing that me and you are creating together it's gonna resonate, and it's gonna grow, and it's gonna get to a point where, like I said, by the time we're at Pittsburgh Stadium or St. Louis Stadium, we'll be live on Vivor from the stadium and going, look at this is awesome. We'll have a quad screen of the 4 of us there doing our thing. Like that's right. The kind of thing that like we should be aspiring to do, because it's about the truth in community and the truth in content, the truth in relationships, to not have anything but the same connected energy going forward. Again, a little woo-woo, but it is true. Like if people tell us that we're not supposed to know each other in the face of what true energy is between the two of us, it's like, well, fuck. That's kind of messed up. Like, why don't we just move with the energy? Well, then now my job is telling me that I can't do this at 11:30 on a Tuesday. Well, that's not fair. I'd rather do this at 11:30 on a Tuesday. Yeah. So like that's making the time for yourself, and that sovereignty is how, at least in my opinion, I'm going to go from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 and get to a point where I operate in a way where people look at me and they go, holy shit, I was trying to get there. Well, yeah, this is how I did it, and I feel like it's coming. I feel like it's coming. The one thing that's always tricky, man, is that financial piece. Because, where we live in America, land of the free, home of the brave, and fucking knee deep in capitalism, you can't make a penny without spending it right away. So, as much as we talked about on Blockchain Banter about having a Kaspa compound where we're living off the grid Kara's making her own butter, and we're raising goats, and whatever the fuck it is. Like that'd be great. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Who was it? Somebody's an ex NBA star just went viral on Twitter for having his own island, and I was like, holy shit, that's where we should be. Oh man, who the fuck is it?
Yeah, I didn't see. You got to look that up.
Did you see it? You didn't see it?
No, I didn't see it. I didn't see it. But I mean, I think we're early to all this, brother. And what's interesting is when you take a look at what's out there and look at the content and what it's moving towards, I think the consciousness of the world is asking for more truth, because there's a lot of shit out there where kids that have never made anything or done anything and haven't lived the life are talking about how to live the life, or they're in the constructs of what they can or can't say, and they say what they got to say because they're trying to make a buck, right? And those are the things, unfortunately, that sometimes go viral. Those are the ones that get the listens. And it's like watching, when you drive by an accident, most people want to slow down and see what the hell's happening. So unfortunately, we're attracted more to crap and drama, and I think we're coming through a phase in our evolution and in life where a lot of people, unfortunately, with the way AI is going and the way productivity is happening, is a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. The mindless work out there where you don't have to do much, don't have to think much, all that shit's going to go away. And the people that are going to make it are going to be the ones that are willing to face what they got to face to realize, like, okay, what can I do now? And there's going to be content like this. There's going to be these conversations that are recorded where people are going to be able to relate to and be like, oh man, that's what they were talking about. So it may not make sense to the masses right now, but that's the cool thing about the internet and recording these things. People can always look back and look out throughout history. A person that I love listening to, and he's huge on TikTok now and YouTube, is Alan Watts. So I don't know if you're familiar with who I sent you a video.
Yeah, you sent me the
video.
video.
Alan Watts.
Yeah, I got through.
Yeah. So Alan Watts, he's a philosopher, died in 1973. He was a woo-woo guy. People were like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?" Very small community, and like now he's blowing up and popular. So all of this will come in its time, right? And as long as we're true to ourselves and true to showing that part of us, it'll attract who it's supposed to attract. It's not about the number or any of that. And I can tell you, bro, from experience, as long as I've aligned with that, just the money will come the way it's supposed to come. So maybe for you, you mentioned how you're starting to look at your business or the properties as a business. So that's gonna lead down different paths of how you think about things.
1,000%.
Because when you come from it from a standpoint of survival, you're in survival. You miss the signals and and maybe had you done this or had you done that, coming from a place of abundance and knowing it was going to happen, you may have seen an opportunity differently. So just vibing in that energy, shit's going to show up for you. I can tell you from experience how clients have showed up the right way. Money has come out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, this is the way it's supposed to happen. Let me get back into this energy. And once it happens, it's easier to get into that energy again and continue to vibe that way. But it's definitely a new way of thinking, man. It challenges everything that we essentially have learned, what we see, how we've grown up. And that's why these platforms are super important, right? They're not centralized. Nobody can tell us what we can say or can't fucking say. I can curse on here. I can not curse. And you're going to get the real me, right? Nobody can take that away from me. So all this is coming, man, and we're super early to this. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time, and can't wait to see what materializes from this.
Hell yeah. No, I couldn't agree more, man. And you're right. The thinking of abundance as opposed to survival, you definitely miss the cues of, because you settle. You end up settling, right? Like, oh, I just got enough to make it. Okay, whew. But for instance, that room that got fixed in the rental property, dude, it's needed to be fixed since the day we moved in. And
wow.
we never got it done because it was always set up as good enough. And we always saw it as an opportunity, like, all right, well, if you guys are okay with living in here this way, we'll just charge you a little bit less on rent because it's a give and take. And what it turns out on, over the last 10 years, we probably missed out on at least $400 a month for the last 10 years, And now that it's been fixed in this new market, it's been an increase of 500, and we still actually have about another $400 a month we can get through more repairs. So we're looking at a plus $1,000 a month that realistically over the last 3 years could have been there for us. That's a lot of fucking money. And not to be about money, because life doesn't necessarily, that doesn't have to be the motivation. But to your point, when creating sovereignty and looking at the abundance mindset, it's not about because my property manager said this to me before. He goes, the people willing to rent from you are not your problem. Your house is your problem. So if there's an impact with the rentals that has to do with you taking care of your family, you have to fix that. So it's not about squeezing people who live there for every dime they have. It's about
I love that.
It's about posting for a rate that helps take care of my family in a fair market value standpoint. So for round numbers, let's say that it's let's say it's $2,000 a month is what it could be in the market. If I'm charging $1,500 because I'm willing to settle, well, that's an impact on my family. I need to do what I can to get it up to market value so I don't impact my family that way. It has nothing to do with who's willing to live there. That's market value. Now, I'd be an asshole if I bumped it to $2,500 above market value, trying to squeeze out the market, and that's not abundance. That's being a dick. And as much as I am, I'm not willing to do that because that sacrifices the morals. So, in this particular, new phase of what I'm doing, that's exactly where I'm at. I need to be abundant in each situation. So we have two properties. Property 1, that's the one we're lacking on. We're going to push that to abundance. Property 2, it literally only needs major repairs, major replacements. So it needs a new roof based on time, not condition. But that's the only thing that property needs. So it just needs, touch-ups. So we're at abundance there. We are at max market value there. Good. So why do we have two properties? One's at max market value, the other one isn't. Okay. So now we do. So that's been the focus, and that's where, trying to get to, through the abundance that way is where we're really trying to push this thing. So I'm excited about it, man. I'm excited.
I love that, bro.
Yeah.
There's a lot that I heard in there. There's a lot that I heard in there that I can see how that may, just with the conversations that we've had, right? And how you've shifted into your mental sovereignty, because when you're in integrity, that's the constant thing that came up for me as you were sharing that. When you're in integrity with yourself, the things that you can't control will also align with that integrity, and it'll attract the right tenets. It'll just energy is a thing. So when you give things energy and now you're aware of that being a thing, that's what attracts money. Like, this is a whole nother way of having money vibe into your life that I love speaking on, because people don't look at it that way, right? It's like, I haven't worked. It's been 20 plus years where I've traded my time for money, being like, oh, I'm going to go in and you're going to pay me this certain amount. And I did it a couple times throughout the past 20 years where I took a corporate job for like a year and they paid me a salary, but there was a commission. And even those didn't like resonate with my energy. It's like, I know for myself, the way when I am bettering my skills and bringing value to the world, I've been able to attract money in droves, right? And that's what's coming to people. These are the conversations that a lot of people keep this shit to themselves, but money's an energy exchange. So when you're taking care of what you need to take care of, you don't know, another rental property could pop up where you're like, okay, of course, let's do that. Oh shit, let's do this. And then before you know it, you're like, oh damn, this is what we were talking about. Yep. This is abundance. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, because I can feel all the money flowing to you, bro. I feel it. I can feel it.
Let me get there.
Yeah. It's coming. No, I don't hang around broke ass people, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't. So it's got to come to you.
And you're right, man. I do truly feel it. And again, it's not even out of greed. It's just out of perspective, to be honest, man. Like, I'm really starting to see where, we, like you said, you attach your time to a rate, and then somebody gives you that, but they also don't pay you for getting ready in the morning. They don't pay you for decompressing They don't pay you for driving there and driving back. They don't, the engagement and disengagement from what they're asking of you. That's all part of that mental sovereignty that I had to break away from. I was crushing it as the general manager of a Taco Bell. Like, I was doing fucking fantastic. There was a lack of ability to actually disengage from that. I was contracted for 50 hours a week. I was literally tethered for 24/7. I had no ability to break away. So if you're contracted for, again, round numbers, I wasn't making $100,000. But if you're contracted for $100,000 for 50 hours a week, but you're actually working 24/7, that goes down to like 33,000. For your actual effort. You just happen to be working overtime. And I had no desire to live that way. So I left that job for another one that was going to give me the same contract for, quote, less hours, hoping that I would be able to disengage, right? And then that didn't work out, and whatever, my whole story going through it. So, like, that was part of what I realized is, like, okay, if I don't engage, I don't have to disengage. Now my energy and my path is my family's. How do I create for them? Well, to be transparent, and thank you, Juan, for this. When I and the listeners of Temple Wrestling Takes podcast know this, but when I tether to someone else while I podcast, I get pure joy. Pure joy. I have so much fun talking to whoever it is I'm with on the other side. And Juan, I will always thank you for this, because I do think we're on to something special here. My buddy Marsh at Wrestling on the Rocks, when we laugh for 2.5 fucking hours, and we might talk about one fucking topic. Like, like, it's just so much fucking fun. When, shouts to @JustinTime211. He's a original. I got him a hat just like this that said Twitter co-host, because from the beginning of the show, every time I put something out, he would tag it with something, and then I would bring it up on the podcast. And I used to hate, this happened. I stopped watching Mike and Mike in the Morning because of this. They put out a question. I put out a comprehensive answer. They did the whole segment on TV and didn't even fucking tag me in it or give me credit for it. Like, they were talking about what team is going to do well in the playoffs. And I was like, at the time, Mike McCarthy was the coach of the Packers. I said, he is undefeated against playoff teams, or teams with a winning record heading towards the playoffs. He was undefeated that season. So, why wouldn't the Packers go to the Super Bowl? I don't remember what year it was. And they brought up that on TV, and then did the rest of the coaches in the NFL that were undefeated against, or their records against active playoff teams in the NFL. I'm like, I brought that to you. That wasn't your segment. And they were talking about it as if the information was new to them. So I was like, how do you not tag someone? Help them grow their perspective in other ways. So I did that with Justin. Justin's been on a ton of podcasts, created his own. Like, it's really cool when you can interact with that community. And it brings me so much joy. So the more joy I get from that, the more I add to my mental sovereignty, the more I can bring to my family that way, and kind of stay in that positive mindset. Because I've gone through ups and downs over the last 5 years, and whoever's listened to this show, or the last 6 years, really, and whoever's listening, I'm honest as it gets. I have no problem letting my story out there. But that's the thing. Like, I've been through some shit where that sovereignty's always been sacrificed. And I used to not podcast with anyone, and I used to not podcast by myself because I didn't think I was worth doing it. Right? Like, if I'm not being successful in my life, why should I be able to take this hour for myself to have a podcast? And that's been a bummer. But over the last couple months, when I've been trying to break this chain, I found not watching wrestling, or not making an appointment to watch wrestling just to do the show, actually made me feel better than forcing myself to watch wrestling just to do the show. You know what I mean? So then, I didn't watch Raw, so I'll watch it Tuesday morning. And then I watch it Tuesday morning and go, man, that was fun. Let me do a show about it. And it would come to be more that way, instead of sitting down 8 to 11, typing up notes, all that shit. No. Meet me where I'm at, wrestling. Yeah. And then I will hop on the computer, and I will spit my terrible wrestling takes and have a blast doing it. And that's been more fruitful. So, but I was actually looking at the analytics the other day, and I'm doing a bit of a disservice. I'm going about 17 days between episodes, 3 weeks between episodes, and there's some listener drop off.
You got to get on that, bro.
I know, but again,
for yourself, yeah.
Selfishly, part of why I wanted to engage in this venture with us is I knew that if I had someone else that could tie me to a routine, I know I can then tie myself to a routine. It's a bad habit I have. It's a learned behavior since I was this big, but my personal accountability is a lot tougher than when I have to be accountable to others. So I have more respect for other people's time than I do my own. It's a thing I'm trying to get over. But I'm going to work on it. This routine that I'm building with this new venture that I'm taking in life, it's all going to get right where it needs to be very, very soon.
Exactly.
I'm excited about it.
Exactly. Yeah, you have the awareness around it, man. That's all that matters. So happy to contribute to that because, yeah, man, from the first time I heard you speak on a Spaces and obviously the conversation that we had was another level for me too. I'm like, yeah, this guy, you should be talking about your wrestling, about this, about I'm a big proponent. I say it on the Spaces that I'm fortunate to run on Wednesdays on X. And I shared this with you. I was off of all socials for a good year. I'm low key with all of it to begin with. I had no followers, so, and then hearing about the Bitcoin Kaspa stuff, I'm like, okay, I've been studying this stuff for 2 years. I can't keep my mouth shut. I got to go out there and just be a part of the conversation. Whatever comes of it, comes of it. And that's all that's happening. So I'm just flowing with it. What comes at me, I'm saying yes to things. So whether it's talking to you on this podcast and having the Spaces, and I'm like, I've shared, I'm flying out to London to potentially meet Jonathan.
That's
and the devs. I think Jonathan's going to speak at that event, but it's a tokenizing assets event, and I'm going to be at Wolfie's bar. Nice. Wolfie's well known in the Kaspa community. So, yeah, man, I'm just putting myself out there, and I see you doing the same thing, and this is just going to take us where we're supposed to be, and that's vibing in our lives and living our lives. That's what we're doing right now, brother. So I'm happy to contribute. You've done the same for me. It's very much so reciprocated, and again, I don't care if one person or no people are listening right now. This is something that's going to be out there in the energy of the universe, and people listen to it when they're supposed to. So that's the way these things work.
No, that's such a great point, and maybe we land the plane on that one. Unless you had anything else that you wanted to bring up, any topics that you wanted to run through before we get out?
No, man, I think we covered it. We're close to 2 hours here, so okay. I think we covered everything we're supposed to, bro. Great conversation, had fun.
Yeah, 1,000%, man. Same. What's next for you to give the people something to look forward to? What do you got going on next?
So yeah, weekly Spaces, as I just mentioned, on Wednesdays on X, Twitter, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. You can catch us on there. Speaking more specifically on Kaspa, we're going to dive a little bit more into Jonathan's post and how that impacts the community. My co-host Kara is responsible for the main account. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Bishop, but Kara is responsible for one of the main accounts to kind of get more of the Kaspa word out there. And then we'll have people come on the stage, and we'll chop it up and talk about whatever comes up. So you can catch me there every Wednesday. Yeah, man. My Bucks play. Who do they play this week? I think we play the Bills in Buffalo.
Oof.
Okay, and they just came off a loss, so be checking that out on Sunday. Got my son this week. I'm gonna go pick him up after this.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. So we're gonna be hanging out and get some yoga in, some working out in. It'll be a good week here in Miami all week. No flying.
Yeah, I'm sure your weather's significantly warmer than mine. I'm about 30.
It's not, bro. It's not. It's cold. It's cold right now. It's cold. I had to put on a jacket this morning. It's cold. I think it's like 40. It's in the 40s or the 50s down here.
For real?
No, this is.
Yeah, we went up. We went from 36 to 43 in this 2 hours, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, you can check me out at TW Takes Podcast on Twitter. TW Takes Podcast everywhere. vivor.xyz/TW Takes Podcast. Yeah, keep checking us out, man. Like Juan said, I think we're onto something. I try to catch as many Kaspa Spaces as I can. To be honest, again, anyone else who's interested in Kaspa, check that out. Just sit in the background in Spaces. That's how I got really started in this community. When I had questions, I asked to speak. I was allowed to speak. I said a thing. Something made sense. I went on to a next one. I went to speak. They recognized me. I spoke again, and it just goes and goes and goes. Even to the fact where Buffalo was on again his Sunday night space, and I just wanted to listen while I was doing something on the computer, and it was like 12:30 at night, East Coast. I'm like, I'm kind of dead. And as soon as I hop on, I think it was Casme that was talking. He's like, "Oh, Bishop's here. Why don't you have him speak?" I'm like, "Fuck, that's not what I'm here for."
So now you have a voice in the community.
I know, but I just
wanted
to hop on and listen, because I know these guys talk about stuff that I don't necessarily agree with, or in a way where I don't necessarily view it, and then maybe I do agree, maybe I don't. I don't know. I just want to listen at this point. But no, what I do specifically, as most people know who listen to the show, I just say as real as I can get. I mentioned the other day on Spaces when specifically the one on Wednesday where Kara was talking about the charts, and I wasn't trying to put it down or anything about looking at charts in crypto, but the comparison of looking at charts is usually associated with how the NASDAQ does it, right? People look at the charts. Well, there's definitely trends that happen in crypto when it comes to charts, but the coolest part about crypto when it comes to charts is that each chart should be its own individual entity based on how strong the technology is behind it. Specifically, as we talk about with Kaspa and Bitcoin, proof of work. What's the work going into it? Well, that work ain't going away on Kaspa. So if the coin goes down, who cares? The work still exists. So the true chart is, in my opinion, is the tech growing? Is the ecosystem growing? And because that chart to me is going up and up and up and up, I feel more confident than any price chart. I got a couple $1,000s committed to it. And if it goes up, it goes up. But I'm truly, truly excited about the utility of it. So, but that's just kind of some of the stuff that I bring up on Spaces. I know I'm not smart enough.
No, that's why we want to hear from you, bro. Because that's not to cut you off, but like that's why people want to hear your voice, because you're going. Our show's called Beneath the Surface, so we're the surface level stuff is the price. Oh, you make it. This isn't about making money. It's like, specifically what you spoke about, the utility. How can we use this? It's actually a tool that most people don't understand because there's a lot of hype and bullshit information out there. So if you want to get to truth, even if you don't understand the link, just like he said, you can get on there anonymously. You don't need to show your profile. If you start sharing and you speak like Bishop, you probably will get called up to the stage. So just fair warning. But that's what it's about. It's about, we want to hear all